Bore da St Andrews, shwd ych chi gyd? It's Ms Price here for our Thursday's Key Stage 2 Assembly. I hope you're all well. I'm going to get started with our Welsh phrase of the week this week, which is rhowch eich gwaith heibio os gwelwch yn dda. It's a bit of a tricky one to get your tongue around this week. There are lots of ch sounds and th sounds, but I know as true ambitious, capable learners that we are in St Andrews, you will all have a good go at using it and saying it. I will say it one more time so you can hear it nice and clearly. Rhowch eich gwaith heibio os gwelwch yn dda. Now that means please put your work away, and it's a phrase that you should be hearing teachers and helpers using around the classroom. And if you do hear them, then give them a thumbs up and say da iawn, or let your crew Cymraeg member know in your class, and maybe they could give them, you could have an extra class dojo if your teacher is using that phrase this week. So pob look using it. Now, our music of the week this week is one of my personal favourites. Bobby McFerrin is an awesome artist, and he has written one of the most classic songs ever, Don't Worry, Be Happy, and it's a firm favourite in our household here. Anyway, moving on now to the main part of our assembly, and I want you to siaradwch i'ch partner now, please. I have some scenarios that I'm going to share with you, and I want you to siaradwch i'ch partner about them, and I want you to see what you would do in these scenarios. So the first one you can see here, there's a boy on his own and a new boy sits alone doing playtime. What would you do? There isn't a right answer for this. There's lots of different answers that you could give, and it's making sure that you're safe as well in all of these scenarios. But pause the video now just for a quick moment and siaradwch i'ch partner about what you would do. Okay, I'm sure you had lots of interesting discussions there about what you would do, and I'm sure many of you would do the right thing by making sure that this boy wasn't alone at playtime and he had somebody to play with. You wouldn't just walk on by. I'm sure in St Andrews Primary School, that's something that we pride ourselves on, is making sure that we include everybody. So well done for you guys in sharing your ideas and that scenario. The second scenario, as you can see here, there's a girl who's been hurt. She's fallen off her bike in the park, but no one sees apart from you. What would you do? Again, pause the video briefly just to have a quick chat about what you would do in this situation. Now make sure, obviously, that any of the things that you're doing to help somebody, make sure that you're safe as well. We don't want to risk anyone getting hurt in anything. So you'd need to make sure the situation was safe before you'd approach her. But well done you for, again, having a think about what you would do in those situations. And that leads us nicely on to our story today. It's a parable. A parable means that it has a lesson to be taught from the story. And this is a Bible story. It's called The Good Samaritan. It's a very popular story to share with children because there's a really important lesson here that you can learn from. So I'm going to share now this video with you. So sit back and relax and enjoy.
So part of God's story is about a good Samaritan, and it goes like this. When Jesus lived on earth, he often told stories to teach us things. Stories that teach a lesson are called parables. One day, Jesus told a parable about a good guy from a place called Samaria, a good Samaritan, to a group of Jewish people. It all started when a Jewish expert in the law asked Jesus, "What must I do to receive eternal life?" Basically, he was asking, what do I have to do to be perfect? Since this guy was an expert in the law, he thought he already knew how to be perfect because he knew all the rules. He just wanted to see what Jesus would say. Of course, Jesus knew what the man was thinking, so he asked him, "What is written in the law?" The man said, "Love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul. Love him with all your strength and with all your mind. And love your neighbor as you love yourself." So he asked Jesus, "And who is my neighbor?" Jesus answered him by telling this story. A man was going down from Jerusalem to Jericho when he was attacked by robbers. They stripped him of his clothes, beat him, and went away, leaving him half dead. Everybody listening was Jewish, and they could probably all picture the exact road Jesus was talking about. He continued, "A priest happened to be going down the same road, and when he saw the man, he passed by on the other side." You might expect a priest, who was supposed to serve God, to help. but he didn't stop. Then Jesus said, a Levite came to the place and saw him, but he passed by on the other side too. Levites were assistants to priests, so maybe you'd expect them to help too, but he didn't stop either. Finally, Jesus said, a Samaritan came along. Remember, a Samaritan is a person from Samaria. That's near Israel, where God's family, the Jews, lived. But here's the thing. Jews and Samaritans didn't get along. In fact, nobody hearing this story would ever expect a Samaritan to help, because Samaritans and Jews couldn't stand each other. But Jesus said, when the Samaritan saw the man, he took pity on him. He went to him and bandaged his wounds. Then he put the man on his own donkey, brought him to an inn, and took care of him. The next day, he took out money and gave it to the innkeeper. Look after him, he said, and when I return, I will pay you back for any extra expense you have. Then Jesus asked, which of these three do you think was a neighbor to the man who fell into the hands of robbers? The expert in the law didn't even want to say the word Samaritan, but he admitted, the one who had mercy on him. Jesus told him, go and do likewise. In other words, go and love everyone, even people we don't like or people who everybody else wants to avoid. See, when we show love, we're obeying Jesus. Obeying God doesn't mean just doing what his rules say. It means loving him more than anything and showing his love to every single person that we meet. And that's the story of the Good Samaritan. So in case you missed it, here's the quick version. A man asked Jesus how to get eternal life. Jesus said, what is written in the law? The man said, love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul. Love him with all your strength and with all your mind. And love your neighbor as you love yourself. Then the man asked, who is my neighbor? Jesus told a story. If you missed Jesus' story, here's the quick version. A Jewish man got beat up. A priest walked by. A priest assistant passed by. A man from Samaria actually did help. That was a surprise. Jesus had taught them, we obey God when we show love. And that's part of God's story.
And there we have the story of the Good Samaritan. And it's incredible to think the priest and also a Levi, who's an assistant to the priest, as good people would have stopped to help the person that was injured, but they didn't. And something that, a quote from that I really hit home for me and made me think about how I treat other people is, love your neighbour as you love yourself. So treat other people how you would like to be treated. And I think that's so fair to, and a very sensible way to conduct yourself is to, love everybody and treat everybody with respect. Even if it's somebody that you don't particularly get along with, that you treat them with respect and you always treat them as you would like to be treated. And that links very nicely with our purpose of being an ethically informed citizen who understands and considers the impact of our actions when making choices and acting. And we all have the ability to make the right choice. And making the right choice in this situation would have been to go and help the man who needed it. And I hope that's something that you will take with you now as you carry on through your journey in life, that making the right choice is so important. And considering how the impact of your actions, what the impact of your actions is on other people. Now, just to finish off, I have a nice little video that I found to share with you, and it's just a nice way to end, thinking about what you would do in this situation. So have a little look at this.
Hey, I'm Mayor Collinson from AMK Productions. Today we're going to see how a child spends his dollar on an ice cream or a homeless man.
So an interesting video and an interesting question to think about at the end of our assembly today. Now, mae'n amser gweddio. Diolch I ti am y byd. Diolch am ein ffrindiau I gyd. Amen. Thank you for joining me today, St Andrews. Have a fantastic end of the week and keep reaching for those stars. Hwyl am y tro.